with a big laugh. And thank you so much for being here. If it's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's LinkedIn Live, Hour of Empower. Today's topic, I'm so excited to share with you, is I believe it's dedication. And I've got Lillian Howard, our first timer today, but not a first timer for the group here, who really supports and promotes what we're doing, and is just a bright, shining person who brings a lot of light to everybody. Harvey's our Indiana Jones of the show.
Oh no, I like that. I'm
With his,
taking that.
yeah, and glad to have Harvey. He just brings so much wonderment to the show, and so encouraging and so supportive. So, that's what makes the show. It's not where you start, it's what you become and how you can continue to become more with more people who are motivated to help you and are open to help. Dean's here. Can't wait for Dean to get on the show. He's got a beautiful story that everybody should hear. So, with that said, chat's open. Dean opened it up for everybody. We depend on you to share what you're interested in, what you'd like to see us talk about, what your own definition of dedication is, and how you apply it. Kelly's here. So great to see Kelly. Kelly is an anchor here. I keep saying that every day only because it's true. And, the more you get to know Kelly, the better you'll probably feel about yourself from being with Kelly. So thank you, Kelly. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Harvey and then give the floor to Lillian so she can share a little bit about herself. And then we're going to follow your lead. So here we go. Paul's here. Uh, Really quick. Hello, Don, Harvey, and Lillian. Great to be here to support you all. Today is your day in the spotlight, Lillian. So you get all your fans. This is kind of like a family celebration, right? So that's what, we should take away from this. Harvey, why don't you bring everybody up to date?
Oh, no, thanks, Don. I'm still trying to get over the Indiana Jones comment. I'm going to take that. Bring the whip next time. It'll be a big boulder rolling across.
Yeah, a couple snakes.
That's it. No, thanks, and it's so nice to be here with you, Lillian, and with everybody else. But it's absolutely your time to shine. You're such a strong supporter of the show, and you're going to be brilliant. Honor to do it with you. But yeah, dedication, a fantastic word. And I think we all show it. I think we all show it when we turn up here as often as we can and support each other. Don, well, there's a man who's got dedication to do a LinkedIn Live every day, no matter what. There's a shining example there. So I don't think you can top that one. I think, to give you a little story of today, you can see I'm in the car, and hopefully this time it won't cut out. But I'm dedicated to helping people, and I'm dedicated to being here because it's a wonderful community. I had a bit of a story of dedication today because I got up at 6 a.m. and I drove 2 hours to get a train. I went into London. I had 3 meetings. I ran from my office to the tube. I then ran from the tube to the train. I got on with a minute to spare. I then ran from the station to here and set everything up in my car because I'm dedicated to helping all of you and to hearing what you've all got to say every single time have the honor and privilege to be here. I just hear and see something new, a different perspective. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it and seeing what everyone's got to say. And some lovely comments coming in already. And hello.
Yeah, we've got, just to really quickly bring the people in, we've got Dean here today. Kelly, we just mentioned. Paul's here. We've got Andrea. Andrea's just an anchor here too. Wonderful individual in all ways. Omar's here. He's doing so many great things for children, and he's here to support Lillian. Kelly's wants to know more about what Dean's going through. Andrea, sorry to hear, Dean. Wendy's been a regular lately. So happy to have you, Wendy. Melody, who's been here a couple days. Hello from Massachusetts. So happy to have you. Matt Smith, afternoon from the UK. I'm also sitting in the
Hey,
car.
Matt.
Oh, we're making that a habit now, huh? Car sitting. I'm sitting in the sun at 5 p.m. here. Well, that's
Oh,
great.
that sounds nice.
Yeah, for sure. So Lillian, now that we've gotten so many people rooting for you and we gave you an intro, why don't you share a little bit about yourself and what you think about this group and the subject today?
Okay, so first to start off, um, we were supposed to talk about the dental chair. The last time Kim was on here, and I was supporting her, but I was at the dentist in the chair, and I'm like, okay, I'll keep it quiet and look at it. But then the dentist comes in, and I'm like, oh man. So I'll be getting a new smile next month. And I just want to say thanks to Harvey and Don because without those two, I wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, they really got me here and made me feel comfortable. Like I'm here to support you. So, with that being said, I have three daughters. Two are in college, one is on her way to college. So, I'll have three in college at one time. Um, I am a widow. I lost my husband 12 years ago. And so the word dedication, when I got the word, it made me think about that. I've been dedicated to taking care of my children since my husband died. And I know it happened 12 years ago, but sometimes, it just brings back that moment. He got sick, went to the hospital, and it was like a week before Thanksgiving when it happened. And so he died within 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. My children were 6, 7, and 10 at the time. So dedication for me was putting everything on hold for myself and dedicating my time to my children. Now that they're older and they're still my babies, now it's time to dedicate myself, to get my life back. I think even in dedication, we lose identity at times. And so I was mom and wife, but now it's time for me to be Lillian, and dedicate that time to restarting, if that makes sense, my life.
Oh, I think it makes perfect sense. And everybody here is either going through some transition event or has gone through it or is about to go through it or knows somebody going through it. So it's universal. It's how do we respond? How do we move forward? How do we play through? And how don't we take certain parts of the past into the future? And how do we protect certain parts of the past so they'll live hopefully forever in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And I think your story is so empowering because dedication is about focus on something. Right? That's
Mm-hmm.
what you dedicate your time, your effort to something, someone. And part of dedication, I believe, is consistency.
Yeah.
Right? You can't
Yeah.
be dedicated for a week, be undedicated, but
Right.
be rededicated.
Mm-hmm.
So, even to Harvey's point, I couldn't do this if someone had said, I'll bet you $10 you can't do 300 LinkedIn lives every day. But, I always knew I could do one every day. And then you have to, put yourself in a different mindset. As I said, well, some people work 8 hours in a day. I work an hour a day for 7 days. So at the end of the day, it's my 7 hours spread over a week. But more importantly, when you get away from what you do to what we do, it makes the responsibility easier, right? If it was just
Right.
me, I could never do this for an hour a day. But if it's me enjoying what everybody else is enjoying and being with everybody,
Yeah.
it's more of an
Mm-hmm.
honor to just flip the switch. I'm like the guy at the soccer game throws the ball in, and then where it goes, and that's where it should go. So that's beautiful, Lillian. So happy to have you. And
Thank you.
really, I think the key is getting people to know each other at their personal level. at their best level of sharing, caring. Harvey, what's your thoughts on where we're
Yeah,
going?
yeah, absolutely. I think you touched there on a really good point, Don, about consistency. And Paul said the same thing, I noticed. So he said that he feels dedicated to serve and change the world, and dedicated to the scrolls. I like that. My mentor says daily is the new consistency. And I think that's some great advice there, to keep doing things each day that help other people, feel good. And like Don said, it's not a chore then to come back and do something when you're helping others. It's fun, and you're learning things, and it's a great place to be. There's Jean Van Horn as well. So hi Van, good to see you. But yes,
He's got a good hat too.
he certainly has. He certainly has. But also, Lillian, I want first of all, I wanted to say I'm sorry about what happened there. I think you've been really brave, and that's real true dedication there. And I'm sure your wonderful daughters, all three of them, will grow up to be wonderful and gracious of what you've done. So you should be really proud of it. And you don't need a new smile. You've got a wonderful smile, right? I'm sure whatever new smile you choose, it'd be just as good.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, it's great to it's really good to see everybody here, and some really good comments coming in. As I say, I think that it's dedication to do something that you believe in as well, and whatever that is. I think at the beginning you need a little bit more dedication than perhaps as things go. Don was very graciously saying, about this LinkedIn Live and how it's gone and how much fun it is. But
Yes.
at the beginning, when you start a LinkedIn Live, without the support and love of everyone here, you're doing a LinkedIn Live to yourself, really. So, we've really got to thank Don for being able to put us all in such a safe and wonderful community, and to have been dedicated, especially at the beginning, to help us become in this position. So I'm very grateful.
Well,
I was going to say, actually, because you did a very nice introduction, I'm not sure if people know everything about me, so I thought I'd do a little introduction.
I think that'd be perfect.
So I live in the UK. I live in the south of the UK. I've lived here all my life. I have 4 wonderful boys. 2 are from my previous marriage, and two are my own. They're aged between 22 is the oldest and 14 is the youngest. 3 of my boys are at university. One of them's studying film, one's studying science, and the other studying English. And my little one, my 14-year-old, he comes to stay with us every couple of weeks. And this is why I'm in the car, because I'm going to pick him up in a bit. I got married in 2021 to my wonderful wife, Susie, who you have seen on the LinkedIn Live a couple of times. But I've been on LinkedIn actively since November of last year. And it's only really in the last 2 or 3 months that I've really kind of found a place here. It's really, it started with helping others, and it's almost like I found a calling for that.
Yeah.
It made me happy, and then everything else seems to fall into place. I'm helping other people, and then I think just naturally people are helping me very kindly. So being dedicated to helping others, if everyone was dedicated to helping others, everyone would be helped. It only takes one kind gesture to someone else.
Yeah.
if 900 million people, we often quote the LinkedIn figure, but if 900 million people did one kind thing for someone else, even once a week, that would be a lot of kindness going around, and people would feel pretty looked after.
Yeah.
There's some really great.
Here's one from Paul. Says, I'm curious for the panel. Have you noticed dedication evolve over time? Funny story. I started going to events to support my friends, and it turned into the ultimate prospecting tool and has accelerated the sales process through having public coffee. Well, it just proves that the more you do for others, in turn, the more you're going to be doing for yourself, because you're going to be putting it out there, putting it into circulation. And when people they tend to understand that they just received something from somebody, and maybe they should do something in return, which could be a thank you. It could be a same type of
Yes.
gift back, or whatever you call it. But I think the key that we're starting to see here is people are now getting practical about their comments. They're trying to ask things they want to know that they can use today, or have a question about somebody else. And I think, it's Harvey, by sharing that, people get more flavor. So with that said, Lillian, where did you grow up, and how did your childhood go?
I grew up in Chicago. That's where I'm from. And when I got married, my husband's from Indiana, so I had to move to Indiana. And I had a great childhood. I didn't want to leave Chicago and come to Indiana because it's so kind of laid back. Chicago is busy, and so I missed that. But when you talk about dedication, in the community, I wouldn't have known about this community if it wasn't for Abimbola. She told me to join a live. And so I came on, and for the first week, I'm like, oh, wow, this is good. And I saw people who were in my age group, not to say anything about anyone young, but it's like you can hardly find any group like this where you do have young people. Paul is young, but he's so mature. So, it's like he's an old soul, but just to see people in our age group be able to come together and almost like a think tank, and I felt so comfortable here. And I think this community helps a lot of people. You never know what's going on in someone's day, but when they come here, it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Like even today, dedication. The word dedication, and so Harvey, I looked up the definition, and so I wrote it down, and it said a feeling of very strong support or loyalty to someone or something. And not only does Don have dedication with this group and the community, but the ones that's in the audience begin to dedicate their time by coming here every day and even connecting with others. I know I've connected with a lot of people, and Bimbola, she sends me affirmations every week. She's dedicated to doing that. So that makes me, more positive, um, really to learn more. It helps me to change my mindset. When Andrea comes on, that's dedication. But that dedication is helping us to become better people. That's what I believe.
I think that's beautiful in every way, because it really does share the experience and your experience. And so few people ever get to that level. Some people can't even share their opinion, let alone get meaningful and have
Mm-hmm.
somebody be meaningful with them at the same time, because I think dedication has a lot to do with attention, awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be aware of what it is to be dedicated to it. And, to me, again, sometimes most people look at things the way they've always looked at things, and it usually involves trouble, time, work, money. right? Do something more. What's it going to cost? How long is it going to take? Instead of when you look at this as a garden, right? And if you were growing a beautiful garden, you'd want to tend to it every day, right? You wouldn't be
Right.
sitting around playing a puzzle on your phone, knowing you had a garden that you really cared about and needed to be taken care of. So the reason people get dedicated is because they're needed. People want them, and because they're wanted and needed, they feel obligated in a good way to show up, because it's not what I learned over time, what you're into or where you're at, it's who you're with.
Right.
If you're with the best group of people, you could be in the harshest place in the world and still have a fun time. Or you could be in the most unbelievable, beautiful place and be with beautiful people. And the thing about LinkedIn Live is there's no cost to airfare here. You know, yeah, Ambombola is in Nigeria. But it doesn't matter, because no one has to use a passport. No one has to get admission.
Right.
All people got to do is show up for themselves. And if they do that well enough, they're showing up for everybody. And to your point, Lillian, also, we never know where this goes. It's not like we're in a closed room and we talk and we leave a little bit better. We're in an open, viral network.
Yeah.
That this will continue to affect people. Maybe they just heard 2 minutes of this, or maybe they met Harvey or Lillian for the first time, and that's all they got out of it. Well, it gives them something to compare to what they're doing. And whatever you're doing, if you love doing it, if you get value, and if you give value, how much better of that time could you spend anywhere else? And if you can, make that the first hour and this the second, or vice versa. So, Harvey, what do you think? Dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I'm scribbling away and losing track of my terrible handwriting here. But there's so many good points. And Lillian, I like what you said about an old soul as well. It just reminded me, because my wife uses that expression, and I think some people they're wiser than their years. But I like that. I think another thing that's really important is it only takes one connection to change your life.
Yes.
You never know where that's going to be or where that's going to come from. You can look back and trace it, but you never know where it's going to come from in the future. So I think, if everyone's dedicated just collaborating, forming meaningful friendships and connecting, they're going to find that those connections that change their life for the good. I want to do a couple of little sort of shout outs here as well, because there's people that are on the chat there. David Lofthouse. David's a good friend of mine on here, and he was speaking a little bit about art as well, and about another thing about me is I do like to paint, and I did a thing a while ago about giving some paintings away. It's really nice to have David here. Rohith is here. Jean Van Horn and Matt. It's just really nice when some new people join the community, and I really want to hear everybody's idea of what dedication is to them. That's what's exciting to me. Seeing the comments, seeing what comes up. Christine made a point actually about being obligated. I feel obligated to my employer because they appreciate my efforts and they're even paying for my master's degree. I think that's a really interesting point there, Christine, because dedication and obligation sometimes slip into the same path, but it's I think it's also loyalty and being a good person as well. Someone's done something kind, you want to repay them, you want to, so I think you have to make the right decision for yourself. But that's fantastic that they're doing that. Oh, there we go. That was I'd only written half of it down there. Yeah. No, that's great. I think sometimes maybe that obligation can turn into dedication. Obligated is not necessarily a negative word.
Right.
we go. David's just said dedication is showing up and getting things done. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
It makes
That's
me think. It makes me think of my youngest daughter. She wants to be a doctor. So right now she's working in the hospital as a nursing assistant. And there are days that she comes home and she said the patients all were crazy, but her dedication to those patients, and she loves the patients. She says sometimes it's the coworkers who, gets on her nerves, but she loves her patients, and they always put her with patients who have dementia. And they said that she's the only one who can talk to them and really get them to focus and whatever they need. And just seeing that what Christine said about obligation, she's obligated, to the job, but she loves it because she loves the patients and she's dedicated to them.
Yeah, and I think that's so beautiful because other people allow you to show up for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
If she wasn't working with these patients, she wouldn't be learning skills on how to work with these patients. And it just shows you it's not what you know, it's what you can adapt and do for
Mm-hmm.
others. Because that's what brings you value. The reason
Yeah.
people do things for you is because you do things for them or they expect you to do something for them. But no matter who you're with or what you're with, if
Mm-hmm.
you start neglecting that garden and stop
Mm-hmm.
showing up and watering it and taking care of it, you won't have a garden. And that's the same thing with any relationship with anybody.
Right.
If you're not paying your way, even though no one gets a real bill, but it's really then about dedication to yourself as far as having integrity, showing up honorably, you know,
Mm-hmm.
polite, being the things you wish you had more of is the things you got to start providing to people who wish they had more of too. And
Right.
pretty soon they'll start giving to others and they'll be getting from others and they teach others. So Dr. Joanne says, and to my dedication also has a heart centered aspect to it to keep us with persistence, with dedication, no matter what, we stick to it because, they say if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, you might as well believe in whatever it is that you believe in right now, knowing you can change. See,
Yeah.
the beauty of dedication, just like anything else, is like you're dedicated for the day you're in.
Yeah.
You can rededicate, or
Mm-hmm.
you can redirect, or you can pause, right? I mean,
Right.
dedication could be put on hold if something more important or better. What's your thoughts, Lillian?
Um, I think when you're dedicated to something, you're not only helping that person, sorry, or that thing, but within you dedicating, you're helping yourself. You learn so much. If you're dedicated to loving someone, or in the case when I was teaching, loving the children, the dedication for me loving them, it brightened my day. So when you're doing that, you're also helping yourself. That's what I believe. When you're taking the time, it takes time to be dedicated. It just doesn't happen overnight. Or you could be dedicated to the wrong thing. It can go either way. It could be positive or negative. But either way, you're going to get an outcome. And so with a positive, I believe that helps you. And you'll become a better person. If it's negative, something you're dedicated to that's negative, well, you're going to get the outcome of that as well. And it'll become bad, such as like addictions and things like that. You're dedicated to that drug or alcohol or whatever, and then the outcome is, well, we know, not so good. So that's what I think.
Yeah, what do you think, Harvey?
I think that's some really, really good points, Leon. I think to keep a positive dedication is a fantastic way of looking at it. Um, David Lofthouse has made an interesting point there as well. Nurturing friendships and relationships. Look at that as a metaphor You see, David is a gardener.
Mm.
So and he grows lots of chili plants, but I attempt to grow things, and you're right. If you think of it like a garden, you plant a seed, that might be that brave first outreach and connection, and then you water it and nurture it, and you're evolving that connection, that friendship, and then you're putting it in a bigger pot. You're maybe adding some connections there. And then finally, you plant it in the garden, and off that goes and spreads and forms other things. I think gardening is quite a good analogy for dedication. So, David, I love it.
Well, and if you take gardening to one more level, how beautiful is community gardens?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And anybody can plant their carrots and their tomatoes, and they'll have a couple plants, and maybe they'll make a couple salads out of it. But isn't it beautiful when a whole block gets together, or community, and 30, 40 people show up and they're tending to your garden while you're tending to their garden? And if you can't make it, they can make it, and it sustains itself. But now you have the knowledge share, the community, just like we're here, where people say, hey, this could be the best hour of my day today.
Yeah.
And it's not because the rest of my day's bad or I'm escaping something. Everybody's trying to get a handle on things. And as credit to you, Lillian, how your dedication resulted is how your children are turning out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
With my kids, what they saw is what they became in so many ways, right? One day of work in 37 years. And I was fortunate to work with all of them for 8 years in the business together, and where I couldn't have them make their bed at home, when I was signing the check, they had a little obligation, but the problem was they always had their mother, and she didn't care about work or anything. She just, if they came home and complained, I had to hear, how come you're not being nice to John, or what are you making her do this stuff for? But I learned, and we all learn, and I think trading hats, being in somebody else's shoes, letting them work in your shoes, right? Learn, and just not care about anything in the past except how it applies to now and the future. Right? Yeah. Too many people use their past as their future. They think because it's always been this way, it'll always be this way. So why not just accept it and make it easier to be unhappy? And I think this is saying, hey, happiness is something you choose every day when you wake up. Right? Everything you do is going to make you happier, better, or unhappier, or worse. And you just decide, how do I want to construct my day? And the best way to do it is, who am I going to spend the time with?
Right.
And if you say, I got a day with 3 hours of nobody to talk to, look at the side of here. How many times have you talked to Andrea or Christine? Right? I mean, if someone says, here's my calendar, in a month, someone has an hour.
Right.
And whose responsibility is it to ask for that hour, but the person who wants it or needs it, or just wants to get another conversation, because not everything is everything. You may have just a talk to say, just wanted to get to know what you sound like on a Zoom, and here, and it don't have to be an hour. It could be whatever it is, but you're taking your show to another level. Is, hey, why do we just have to comment? Why can't we collaborate? What am I into? I can bring 2 people along. You ever drive on a long trip and you wish you had 3 people with you instead of being by yourself trying to stay awake? I mean, and certain people are different, but out of 900 million people, you're going to get your introverts, you're going to get your antisocial people, and they're where they want to be or should be, or they can change anytime you want. So you work with the people who want to work. And here's another thing, we're talking about growing a garden. I was thinking, you don't grow people, but you help them grow themselves, right? When you're feeding a plant, you're not the plant, you're not going to be growing, but you're giving the plant nourishment. You're giving it what it needs, right? And then
Right.
take off and do what it is. So, uh, Lillian, what's your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts towards gardening?
I don't garden, so
Didn't
I
understand what
tried
we
it.
were going on about that.
I tried it, and everything died. So I don't do it. But using that analogy as far as like the community and gardening, right? So, like you said, everyone in the neighborhood, they come and, garden and share what they've, uh, grown. But if you look at it like this too, okay, so we have this big garden, we're all together, this community, and we're sharing. Now we get to eat from this big buffet. And here in this community, our buffet is knowledge and learning from each other. And when we have those Zoom calls, we're getting to know like each other, and the seeds are being planted then. That's how I would look at it. Kim, she exchanged her phone number with me. So, and that's great to me. So if we look at it like that, like we each share what we've grown, and that's the knowledge that we've gotten in our personal experience, then we have this big buffet, and we can eat and learn from one another.
Yeah, that's terrific because not only do you work together, you learn together,
Mm-hmm.
right? If someone says, I just did this to my tomatoes and now it's
Mm-hmm.
growing like this or whatever, pretty soon now 30 people are a little smarter towards growing tomatoes. But then naturally you start saying, well, how does that affect cucumbers, right?
Right.
Start,
Mm-hmm.
and then you come home and say, I just learned a better way of doing something. Now all the people around you are learning it. So it's knowledge shared, but also knowledge spread.
Yes.
What do you want
Yes.
to roll down a hill that's going to be so much bigger when it gets to the bottom and people get a chance to see it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gardening is creation. Is
Yeah.
you apply yourself to building something wouldn't have been there without you, without planting those seeds, without taking care of it. And then here's what everybody knows when they look at those seeds. They got a vision of what the end product is,
Yes.
right? They're going to
Right.
know that a tomato is going to be like this, or that's their hope. Now, if you
Yeah.
look at a person, they're more important, I think, than a tomato,
Yeah.
and they can be more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think if people measured their relationships by the fun they have with the people in those relationships, because even a heady intellectual can get pretty dry, can get
Right.
pretty old,
Right.
and everybody wants to get like fun,
Mm-hmm.
wants to relax, be comfortable. And if this world was more relaxed, was
Yeah.
more comfortable, if
Yeah.
people could get to know each other before doing things or saying things,
Yeah.
and to me, it's embarrassing for the people, even though they may be proud of it, is what are they leaving behind and what are their kids looking at?
Right.
What are their kids modeling? More of
Right.
whatever they have to share. Harvey?
Yeah, it really made me laugh actually because I think Rohith said that I'm dedicated to note taking. I didn't realise that you could see me scribbling away that much, but I am dedicated to my note taking. It's because everyone here is saying so many good things. All I've got to do is read them out. And
Mm-hmm.
but there was a couple of things actually that Paul said, and blimey, Paul, the amount of comments he makes here, he could write a book. I think just tie
Yeah.
them all together. But
Mm-hmm.
he made some good points. One of the things I like is you don't know how your dedication will inspire somebody else. So
Yes.
you could be dedicated towards something that you really truly believe is good, but
Mm-hmm.
actually you won't know that lifted someone's day, or that made them think about something in a different way, or
Right.
made them make that new connection. So I really like the fact, because I think sometimes dedication can be hard.
Yes.
Paul also said dedication is about purpose. And I think that's true as well. If you've got a good direction, if you've got a good cause, a good purpose, then, you're going to be able to direct that and keep that dedication going. There's just some, in fact, Amimbola said, committed to a cause. So I am just reading my notes here, but and I think that's it. If there's a cause that you are that inspires you and keeps you motivated, then that's something that you can use to power your dedication. It's one of those ingredients for your dedication. There's so many wonderful comments coming in now. It's true. I'm going to have to get another pad out.
Well, here's one from Dr. Constant. But before I do that, Andrea's put out a gift for everybody. Says, I have a gift for whoever needs. I will guide a meditation tomorrow back to your inner child. It's free, I'm sure. DM if you wish to join. Kelly's already signing on. Rita's here from Eugene. David is talking about how addicted he got to gardening. And, just shifting conversations to things people visualize, experience in everyday life, makes it more relatable and makes the person who says it more relatable, So it's getting closer and getting more aligned. I'll be there, Andy. Some wonderful to extend invitation. Dr. Constance, who I had the pleasure and honor to be on 3 shows on the same day with, because she was on my 9 o'clock. I then appeared on her 10 o'clock, and then both of us appeared with Mike from the Hounds and Raquel and Sia that night. And she's a plant murderer, actually. I can't grow a garden either, but I can help people grow and level up. Thank you for this conversation. And then she goes on to say, in a world full of opportunities and challenges, fostering personal growth in others is a meaningful way to make a positive impact. Whether it's supporting a friend, family member, colleague, or even a stranger, empowering others to grow and thrive can. And the cool thing about giving is sometimes giving without even knowing who's getting it.
Right.
There are a lot of churches and religious groups who every year they have a giving tree, right? You take a name, you put a $15 or $20 gift card in for a child or someone. Yeah. You don't ever know who that child is, but you can visualize what a child feels like who is in a situation where they don't expect to get anything, don't have the ability. And then someone gives them a $20 card to Walmart or somewhere, and all of a sudden it made their Christmas. And what did $20 mean to that person? Probably a Starbucks visit, and forgot about what they just bought. And that's the thing is, if you have more than you need or can use, start giving little bits of it. I had a gentleman who became a huge success, and he was a young man from Pakistan. Hired him at the lowest wage at the beginning position, and in 14 months was making $125,000 a year from $10 an hour. Because people would come to me and say, I don't feel like starting at the bottom, and I'd say, you're only at the bottom as long as you want to be.
Right.
Start climbing, start growing, start showing, start getting. And that's the key, is when you pay people what they're worth, not what you can get away with. Or you're making money with and for people, not off of people. People know that, right? That you're going to be there. They're going to be there. That's where dedication shows up.
Right.
And sometimes dedication is codependency, right? Because I need you, and without you, I can't be what I need. You need me, but you can still be honestly and wonderfully dedicated to something, to somebody else. And that's a good model to prove. No one cares so much about the results. It's how well did you play? How hard did you play? There's more games, but it's really, what did you leave on the field? How did you show up? You see these wonderful sports moments because someone falls down and the person stops racing to pick the person up that they just gave their chance.
Yeah.
Right. And that wasn't planned. That's their initial feeling. Boy, someone's down. I'm going to help them. And I think if everybody starts doing that, first of all, to Lillian's point, you feel better, right? How much
Right.
does it mean to you when someone smiles or laughs so hard because of something little you did for them?
Right.
You love
Mhm.
to have the person, another one next to them, and here's your $10, and let's see how happy you can get, and
Right.
spend your time investing in that. Lillian, what's your thoughts? Great comments, great people. Here's a new person, haven't seen their name. Gina Shoulders, PhD, Harvey Tuck. I made it finally. Thank you for the
Regina.
thank you so much for taking an invite and dedicating and investing your time into learning what we do here and hopefully
Right.
what we can help each other. Uh, Lillian?
I think Harvey, when he's dedicated to helping job seekers and he puts a post up for them. I know I was on the post, and it surprised me because we had never met, just being on the live, and he put my name up there. He reached out to me. His dedication on helping others, and even through his art, which is really nice. And I think with your art, you sell it and the money goes to, if I'm right, it
You are.
goes to someone who's in need. And that's true dedication. I mean, he doesn't have to do it. He could sell his art and keep the, proceeds for himself. But that's not what he does. And that's true dedication. He gives his time to help others. Um
No,
just in
thank you for
Mhm.
that, Lillian.
Mhm.
That's really kind of you to say. And if it, hopefully I'll sell some more because I want to help a heck of a lot more people. But yeah, it's easy to dedicate that time because, you know, what Paul said about the fact that you don't know if it's inspiring people. Well, I'm very lucky and very fortunate because I can see it helping people, and that's really inspiring and makes everybody feel good. Um, so I've got to ask. Kelly made a comment to you, Don, about stone soup. What's
Mm,
stone soup?
okay. Now it was early on, and I forget because I don't like to tell the same thing. I just want to share Ambambola's here, and without Ambambola, we wouldn't have Lillian today. So it shows you how that spreads. But yeah, the story with Stone Soup that applies to what we're doing, and I think I might have told that 3-4 months ago, and Kelly really picked up on it. Is uh, there was a village, and nobody had very much, and nobody ate very well, and they were just kind of struggling day after day, and everybody was in their own little house making the best of it. And some wise lady decided that what she knew for sure is they had some water near their village and they had rocks. So she decided, I'll start a stone soup. So she went to the river and got the water and put a couple rocks in there and started boiling it, and everybody started to wonder, what is this wise woman with this pot of water and rocks in it? How the soup is going to come from this? And before you knew it, a lady who only had a bunch of carrots threw it in the soup. And then somebody who had a little piece of pork or lamb threw it in the soup. And pretty soon, everybody who just had a little and couldn't make a good meal out of it made a collective meal for everybody, and they never ate so well. But it was the person who decided, I can go to work with what I have, even though people would think, well, starting with rocks and water and some heat and a pan, nothing's going to come out of it. But
Mhm.
when you plant a seed, nothing comes out of it when you plant it, right? And unless you
Right.
nourish it, and it's nothing's going to come out of it. So now all of a sudden the village figured out that they had a wonderful meal every day if everybody showed up with the part of that meal. And it's the same thing here, is if someone
Mhm.
wants to throw a carrot in today, well,
Mhm.
the beauty of it, this is a slow moving train, and people used to romanticize and love trains, because you could go from New York to LA in 3-4 days.
Mhm.
In the meantime, you'd see the countryside. They'd had card rooms, club rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms in a way. And it became the trip in itself, being 4 days on a train and mixing with people and seeing people and looking at new destinations. And why shouldn't that adventure continue in everybody's life? I mean,
Right.
for me, we were joking earlier about Harvey looking like Indiana Jones.
No, you weren't joking. You thought that. Definitely you thought that.
Well, yeah. And I thought, hey, how does Harrison Ford have a twin? But,
Oh, that's you're saying exactly the right things there. I'm coming back. I'm definitely coming back.
well, and the beauty of it is you can be your own Superwoman, Indiana Jones, whatever persona you want, because it's yours to choose, right? I never wore a hat before this show, but it became a prop in a sense because it's a signature or something. So people now recognize you more. Plus, if you do a show every day early in the morning, you don't have to worry about your hair so much. There's some practical element to that. And sometimes it's never going to look that what you want it to be anyway. So you're better off with a hat, especially as you're getting older. And that's the fun thing is life is a riddle. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
It could be a love story.
Mm-hmm.
It could be anything you choose to say, anything I have control over, I'm going to filter it into this direction. I'm going to dedicate myself to being the person or the better person I know I can be. And all I need is somebody to practice on.
Mm-hmm.
So the person you're looking at is they're helping you give you feedback or answers to questions.
Right.
Then they're doing you a favor. Too many people, when they take time to help somebody, they think, well, how long is this going to take? What do I need to do to get out of here?
Right.
And versus like, hey, how do I stay here longer? I mean, we made shows that went an hour and 50 minutes because it just wouldn't stop,
Mm-hmm.
and you never want to be the band that says, oh, everybody's having a ball on the dance floor, but we're wrapping it up now.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't work.
Right.
It shouldn't work that way. So,
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but all the people here, Paul, Kelly, I mean, it almost gets to the point where they got so much giving muscles.
Yeah.
They're looking at more gyms to exercise in with more people. So,
Right.
Lillian, it's your first time. What's your thoughts so far about the show?
I love the show. Coming
I
on.
mean, being on the show.
Mhm.
Being on the show.
Being on the show. So at first it's nerve-wracking because you don't know what to expect. It's different when you're in the audience and you're looking at people up here. But then when it's your turn, it's nerve-wracking. But so far it's been good.
Okay, well, me and her are going to dedicate the next 9 minutes to making sure it stays that way.
Absolutely.
No, I really enjoyed this time. I like the topic of dedication because it just fell in place, for me, being dedicated. And not only to me and my children, but to friends as well, dedication. It's been a time where I've helped a couple of my friends get into businesses. One did a marriage ministry, her and her husband. I didn't charge anything. I just wanted to help. And that's the thing, being dedicated and helping people. If you start out like that, the money will come. You don't have to chase. If you're constantly chasing something, you'll never catch it. And so I think with dedication, if you're doing it out the kindness of your heart, really being dedicated, it will come. The resources will come. People will come because they'll see that you're being true, not only to yourself, but to them as well.
Yeah, and you know what? It may be so easy to do and so beneficial and happy to do, but so few people do it.
I know.
That's the remarkable part about it.
Mm-hmm.
To give somebody a compliment is just to share what you already know, what you already believe.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people do people ever say, gosh, if I had one more talk with them, or I was just about to call them, or I was going to
Mm-hmm.
share something with them, and now something happened, it's never going to happen again.
Right.
and I could have made that moment. I mean, every time I'm with my grandkids, it's always like, what are you into? What are you thinking? What do you
Mm-hmm.
talk about? And you learn so much, and they learn so much when you can finally sit down. Even playing cards. My grandson happened to be staying over last night, and he loves card games. And he learned a new card game called Speed. And anyways, me and my wife were busy with them, and can't do enough, can't give enough. You know, if you could put
Mm-hmm.
more love into a capsule, you'd figure out how, because
Right.
people are dealing with so many things that are unlike what you're offering them. You know,
Right.
I mean, we're having fun, but there's a lot of people in crisis. There's a lot of
That's
people in
true.
situations, they don't see a door,
That's
they don't
true.
see a way out, and
Mm-hmm.
there's always a way if there's a will. They used to say, if there's a will, there's a
Yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a big enough why, you can figure out the how to. And coming back to what we're talking about, again, if it's you, maybe. But if it's we, there shouldn't be any question.
Right.
Right? Because, I mean, I've seen people lift up a car if you had enough people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Put 10, 12 people on it, it'll come up. So, yeah, that's great observation, Lillian. Hopefully, this is the beginning of many more LinkedIn Lives. And hopefully, people get to see you, get to see Harvey, the people there, to create more opportunities in their shows for you.
Yeah.
Because as much as people need visibility, they need honest people who people relate to right off the bat,
Yeah.
right? They
Right.
want to be with people that say, hey, this is a good person. This person worked very hard. We got a couple more minutes. So Lillian, you were a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Working with young kids. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Okay. So how I got into teaching was when my kids were in school. I homeschooled them for the rest of the part, but in the beginning they were in school, and so every time I would drop them off, one of the teachers would say, would you like to grade some papers? And I'm like, okay. But then I noticed it always happened to be, we want to offer you a job. And so that's how the teaching came in. So I actually taught the little ones like daycare, and that can be challenging at times, but I love them. So teaching started there with the little ones. I did substitute teaching. I did like preschool and some elementary. So that's how teaching came into place. My background is actually finance, but this is what happened. I had kids and then I started teaching. But now I'm not teaching anymore. The last place that I worked at, it closed. So now I'm looking to go into a different industry. And at this point, I'm looking for work. Dedication and looking for a job can be hard as well. And so it's been over a year for me. But I make sure to come here every morning before I even start looking and filling out applications, because this community, it inspires me, encourages me to keep going, just keep doing it, and, supporting others. It just
Uh,
gets
That's
me
wonderful.
going.
So, what is it that you're looking for? What do you think you would be ideal and be a benefit to someone out there who's listening?
I remember hearing Leslie say, do something you've never done before. And because I just have this thing of wanting to help, I'm thinking about the healthcare industry, being in the hospitals. How much love do those people need? Even in assisted living, they, so many people are forgotten. Especially the elderly. We just kick them to the curb like, oh well, they live their life. Okay, we'll move on. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm thinking healthcare.
Well, I think somebody would be so fortunate to have you or to refer you to somebody who's looking for somebody like yourself. And I think this show and the people on it could do something really important by giving it a little thought. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
everybody's got all these connections, and again,
Mm-hmm.
not everybody's in Chicago or not everybody's got
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity. But, I think this is an excellent chance for people to get to know Lillian better. And I vouch for Lillian. I'll give her a reference, whatever job she.
I will too.
Thank you.
And you could share this with whoever you go. Tell her Harvey and Don will be happy to get on the phone and share how much we think of you and what you're capable of. And I think we'd be doing somebody else a bigger favor by
Thank you.
sharing your opportunity. So, final words, Lillian.
Okay, final words. Just be dedicated to others. Make someone's day better than it was when they woke up this morning. Every day, try to reach out and do your best of dedicating your life to make someone else's life better.
That is so beautiful, and so valuable, and it's great to hear it. And that's what makes a super co-host, is someone who's real, authentic, open, and dedicated to doing better for others. And you can't ask for anything more. So thank you so much, Lillian, for what you brought today.
Thank
Harvey, you bet.
Thank you, Lillian. You've done an amazing job today. It's been a pleasure
Thank
to be
you.
with you. And on what you're looking for on the healthcare opportunities, I'm going to personally look out for you. And if I see anything, I'll help you. I'm going to send you a list of every recruiter that I'm connected with, and I'm going to put it on a post. So everybody connect with every one of those recruiters, because you never know where that connection might lead you. The other thing I was going to say is I've really lost track of so many amazing comments, but what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to go back today and really spend a bit of time looking at what everybody said, because I get so much value from doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think finally everyone is going to be disappointed unless I bring a prop. And I almost got too late and I didn't have one, but I'm not going to let you down. So my prop today is some juggling balls. Now, give the nature of these Christmas festive juggling balls, but the only ones I had. When I was a little boy, all I wanted to be able to do is to juggle more than 2 balls, and I couldn't do it. And I kept trying, and I kept trying, and I kept trying. When I was about 16, I went to juggling school for 4 weeks just to learn how to juggle with 3 balls. It's not going to be impressive. I will point this out, and I haven't done this for a long time. Here we go. Right. Maybe it might be a hat off. Right. Well,
you got to get a convertible, Harvey.
There we go. Anyway,
well, I could have never done that.
The point I was trying to make is that if you stick with something, you will get there, and everybody just keep dedicated for whatever it is that they're going to do, and reach out to me if there's anything you need. And forgive my terrible juggling. I'll improve it for next time.
Yeah, and there's like 40 more comments that we never got a chance to see. But wonderful people, wonderful audience, just tremendous show. And, the show is, because it is so spontaneous, so responsive to the audience, that things like this can never be planned,
Right.
And I think it's better when it comes from the heart and it comes in response to the energy and the vibe that we're developing here. So with that said, rest up. 23 hours from now, I'll tell you who we have. Tomorrow is Leslie Nidick, first timer, wonderful lady. You gotta see her on Sunday. We've got Christine and Roxanne coming back. Great people. You know them all. Gretchen's on Monday. Andrea's Tuesday. So great lineup. Thank everybody. Thank you. And we'll only try and get better tomorrow. So thank you again, Lillian. Thank you, Harvey.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Lillian.
Talk again.